Aero bikes are great, they look amazing and they do be speedy. Here are 6 that we're excited to watch or want to review. Oh, and stick around because there are 3 that I think could do with an update. If the RCR is anything to go by, then the Aero version is going to be a great bike. But we're yet to test it, mostly because the official launch isn't until Roubaix in April. There are 2 main claims being made right now, and the first is that this is 13 watts faster than the RCR. Now, we don't have any details on what speeds or yaw angles the bike was tested at, but from what Van Rysel told us, we think it will be above 45 kilometers per hour. The second claim being made is that the front of the bike is 7% stiffer than the RCR. Again, we have no data to look at, but Van Rysel did say that the prototype we saw at the Tour de France last year was given to sprinter Sam Bennett for feedback. Maybe the stiffer front end is something that the riders asked for. We'll probably hear more about that in the spring. Speaking of the spring, the bike has room for 33mm tyres, so in theory, this bike is ready for the cobbles. Given Aero bikes have won the last few editions of Roubaix, I bet that this will be in use. Oh, and finally, just for clarity, Van Rysel says the RCR-F is just a smidge heavier. They say a build with Dura Ace and 65mm Swiss side wheels weighs around 7.5 kilos. The final reason to keep an eye on this bike is the price though. Decathlon makes the standard RCR in some relatively affordable builds, so maybe this will be one of the cheapest Aero bikes in 2025. Despite it being over a year old, the SL8 is well worth watching. Because of how many bike races it will win. Now, Specialized sponsors a lot of top teams, so naturally this bike gets a lot of glory. But it's not the actual bike I'm really interested in. Specialized looks pretty close to releasing some new wheels and tyres, which we're starting to learn a few things about. The wheels seem to be an even faster option that we first saw in the Olympics time trial, and word on the street is that this front wheel is part of the set that we should be seeing soon. The front wheel is noticeably deeper than Roval's current offerings and apparently uses a new hub and lacing pattern. If this is an even faster wheel set from Roval, riders like Remco Evenepoel are going to be very happy. And then there are the tyres. Specialized has got a range of road tubeless tyres with the S-Works Turbo Rapid Air 2 Bliss Ready T2 T5 taking the title for one of the longest names ever. I hate it. It's a tyre that has performed actually quite well in rolling resistance tests, but Specialized has really struggled to get its pro riders away from 2014's Turbo Cotton, which is a clincher tyre and needs inner tubes. Ugh. That's hardly in line with the Specialized marketing message, but if you keep an eye on the SL8, you might see what could be a new tubeless version of the Turbo Cotton. I would love this to keep the super supple 320 TPI casing, though it will need a latex lining like Vittoria has done with the Corsa Pro. But should Specialized go with tan sidewalls or black? Let me know in the comments. I reviewed the Elves Falath Pro disc last year, and while it wasn't perfect, it did represent pretty good value, especially given the huge customization options to the paint and spec. That's why I'm really keen to swing a leg over this, Elves' new Aero race bike. We don't have a load of details right now because these are pre-launch images, but this rear end is wild. It's giving Trek Madone vibes, isn't it? Trek coined its design Isoflow when the latest Madone was launched in 2022, saying the kite-shaped hull saved 300 grams versus Trek's old IsoSpeed decoupler system. Now, Isoflow was also claimed to improve the aerodynamic performance of the frame by around 3 watts. Will the Elves design come with similar claims? We'll have to wait and see. The World Champion's new Aero race bike came with some lofty claims of being 20 watts faster than Colango's all-round V4 RS at proper Pogacar speeds of 50 kilometers per hour. But while the bike might be only about a watt faster than what Colango mysteriously calls the best competitor, putting Pog on a bike that's 20 watts faster than his old one is honestly terrifying. Now, I might not have the watts of Pog or even half of his power, to be honest, but I really want to ride this bike to see how it goes on some faster group rides. Given my lack of training, I think I'll take all the help I can get right now. I actually want to test how the bike handles over broken roads. Often when a brand develops a bike to be fast, comfort can get left behind a little, especially when the bike is developed with one-off solutions like this kind of head tube design. I'm also keen to see if some time on the bike will soften the aesthetics. Those angular tubes didn't make my heart sing at first, but who knows if this will change over time. But is this the bike for you? If you love it or you hate it, let me know in the comments. A new aero bike for 2025 is Ridley's Noah Fast, which in the pro peloton you'll find under the Uno X team. And that is good news for us aero nerds because the Uno X riders use some stupidly cool aero setups. The bike is claimed to be the brand's fastest ever road bike with a slab-like head tube and integrated cockpit, contributing to an 8.5 watt reduction in drag versus the outgoing bike. Now, the standout feature is the giant head tube, which takes full advantage of the UCI's revised 8:1 tube shape rule. This is an area where we've seen brands focus loads of attention. I don't think I'm going to forget Specialized Speed Sniffer in a hurry. The cockpit is molded to fit the immense head tube, and when slammed, it's a very sleek design. The bottom bracket junction is similarly chunky, and given the Uno X team seems to only sign giants, it'll need to deal with some serious power. The bike can clear tyres up to 34mm wide, so there's no doubt that we'll see this bike on the cobbles of Roubaix. But while those are bikes that we know about, we're sort of waiting for news on a few old models. The Merida Reacto could really do with updating given this version has been around since the summer of 2020. As Merida already has an all-round race bike in the Sculptura, it would be great to see the new Reacto go full focus on aero. I'd also love to see Cervelo come up with a new S5. They're an inventive bunch over there, and the S5 is a brilliant design, so it would be really interesting to see what they do. If there even is a new bike, that is. If one does appear, I think they'll update it in relatively small ways, and we won't be told a thing. A new frame will simply pop up at a race, hidden in plain sight, and then Cervelo will refuse to comment for months. It'll be magical for everyone. I said it last year, and I'll say it again, Cannondale, give the people a new System 6, please. This was one of the leading aero bikes, but we rarely see Cannondale pros riding it anymore. So while I love the Super 6, it would be great to have a proper aero race bike back in Cannondale's lineup for 2025. If that's whetted your appetite for more aero bikes, then why not go and check out these two? That's Pogacar's new bike, very worth a look, and that's the new Van Rysel. We don't know much about that, but it's interesting. I like it. Mysterious.